Hi all, welcome to Physics Test Series by KANA Academy. The test series of 14th one. In the test series questions are based on test series questions are based on current electricity. So over question solve பண்றது எப்படின்னு பார்ப்போம். Okay, first question. Which of the following graph correctly represents the variation of mobility of electrons with the applied electric field in a metallic conductor? So the concept here is that U is independent. It's nearly independent of E. So, but mobility is majorly depends on what? Like, it depends on temperature. Okay. So it does not depend on the electric field. So this is the first concept. So the concept actually we can try to understand these graphs. First graph, it says it's a straight line from origin அப்படின்னா இது linearly proportional சொல்றது. So that's not the case. Second one exponentially decay ஆகிற மாதிரி காட்டுது. So that's also not the case. And third one it's U is constant irrespective of E. So even when E changes, U remains constant. That kind of explains the relationship because independent of E, right? Mobility. அதனால but anyways, fourth option பார்த்தா it initially linear increase ஆகுது, then it kind of saturates. So this is also not the case. So the answer for this one is 3. Okay. Next question. Another question. There is a current of 1 microampere. It's flowing through a copper wire. So we need to find how many electrons will pass given point in 1 second. Okay. So the current is nothing but 1 milliampere. So it's nothing but 10 power minus 3. So here time is given as 1 second. And then we know the charge of electron is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So formula is I is equal to Q by T. This implies Q is equal to IT. Okay, so then number of electrons is nothing but Q by E. Okay, so we can write this as I T by E. So we know what is I value. It's 10 power minus 3. And then this is 1 second. And then we know E value. If you substitute all of this, you will get N as nothing but 6.25 into 10 power 15. So it's option B. Okay. Next question. It's a drift velocity based question, like drift speed. So let's say the drift velocity when current I flows. Okay, so here the condition is that if both the radius and the current is double, then the drift velocity will be what in kg. So we know that the formula for this I is equal to N E A V D, where we know that A is nothing but pi r square. Okay, so what are the changes here? The changes is R becomes 2R, then A becomes 4 times A, right? Because it's square. Then I becomes 2I. So this relationship becomes, the new one is nothing but 2I NE 4 times A into VD. Okay, so this you can write it as 2I is nothing but 4 times NE A V D. So we can write this further as 2 times NEBD equals to 4 times NEAVD. Okay, so this simply means 2 times VD is 4 times VD. So maybe I should call this as a VD dash because of the new. So this new VD dash will be nothing but 2 by 4 VD. So this will become VD by 2. So it will become V by 2. Okay. Another question. Okay. So then fourth question, the drift velocity VD varies with the intensity of the electric field as per the relation. So the relationship between the drift velocity and the electric field கேட்டிருக்காங்க. So இதுக்கு simple formula VD is mu times E. Okay. And mobility U is constant for given temperature. So this is like a constant and the first question la பார்த்த மாதிரி. So VD is directly proportional to the electric field. Okay. அடுத்த question. So it's a conductor. The 4 coulombs of charge flows for 2 seconds. The value of electric current is what and கேட்டிருக்காங்க. So the solution for fifth one. So it's Q is equal to 4 coulombs, flows in 2 seconds. Okay. So I is equal to Q by T. So it's nothing but 4 by 2. So it's 2 amperes. It's straightforward. அடுத்த question பார்ப்போம். So so the current in semiconductors due to drift of what and கேட்டிருக்காங்க. So in semiconductors, both semiconductors it's both electrons and holes act as charge carriers. Okay. So it's both free electrons and the holes. It's only in the conductor, it's the electrons. Okay. Seventh. So there is no potential difference applied across the metal block. Then the mean velocity of the free electron is like what அப்படின்னு கேட்டிருக்காங்க. So here T is like absolute temperature of the block. So concept here is that இதுல என்னன்னு பார்த்தோம்னா electrons வந்து it still have random thermal motion. Will have random thermal motion, right? So that means VRMS proportional to square root of T. But இதுல பார்த்தோம்னா average net velocity but the average net velocity is 0. Why? Because random directions they cancel. So it's option C, 0. Okay. Positive temperature coefficient of resistance is for which of the following? Okay. So இதுல copper தான் metal, carbon is non-metal, germanium, and there is an electrolyte. Okay. So இதுல வந்துட்டு which of the following will have the positive temperature coefficient of resistance? Na? It's only for a metal it will have. So metals have a positive temperature coefficient. Okay. Because R, it increases with temperature. So copper is a metal, so we'll go with this one. 8. Then 9th. So the electric intensity E, current density is J, and specific resistance K. They are related to each other by what relationship in கேட்டிருக்காங்க. So you know that to Ohm's law in microscopic form, electric intensity is nothing but rho times J. Here this rho is nothing but K here. So E is equal to J times K. Okay. So this is the answer. அடுத்த question 10th one. So first in the complex given in என்னன்னு பார்த்தோம்னா, so there is a I is given as this is I, and a cross section area is this. Okay, that's A. This is in millimeter square, but we can convert this into 10 power minus 6 meter square. Okay. And then free number of electrons is given as, so n is this one. We need to find the drift velocity. So this is, but this n is per centimeter cube. In per meter cube nu maathomna, இது வந்து 10 power 22 would become, n would become 8.4 times 10 to the power 28 per meter cube iron. Okay. So and then you know the electric E value. It's 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So formula here is that I is equal to NE A VD. Okay. So VD is nothing but I by NE A. Okay. So here we know what is I value. It's 1.344. We know N value, we know E value, and we have A value. So இதெல்லாம் substitute பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னா we'll get VD drift velocity as 0.1 mm per second. Okay. அடுத்த question. It's a resistance based question. So given here is like they've given RO as 22.05 ohm, and then R100 is 22.70 ohm at 100 degrees Celsius. Then RT is given as 24.91. Okay. So we know that we need to find the என்ன டெம்பரேச்சர்ல இந்த ரெசிஸ்டன்ஸ் அட்டைன் ஆயிருக்கும்னு சொல்லிட்டு. So it's based on this formula. T is nothing but RT minus RO by 100 minus RO into 100. Okay. So RT minus RO is 24.91 minus 22. So the numerator will be 2.86. Denominator will be 0.65 into 100. So this will be 4.4 into 100. So this will be 440 degrees Celsius. Okay. The resistivity of iron is given as this. And the condition here is that the length and the diameter both are doubled. Like so we need to find the resistivity in the ohm will be. So here important thing is resistivity is it's a material property. Okay. So it depends only on the material and temperature. It does not depend on the shape or geometry. Okay. So it will stay as the same. It will stay as what is given in the question. Resistivity of the wire. Usually like resistivity, it does not depend on the dimension. So so resistivity does not depend on the dimension. So increases with the length of the wire. No. So decreases with the length and increases with the cross section. No. So it's none of the above statement. So as I said before, it's not dependent on geometry. Okay. 14th. So given resistivity of the wire is rho and volume is this and resistance is 3 ohm and find the length L. You need to find the L. So we know that resistance can be written as rho L by A, and we know that V volume can be written as A times L. So this means A can be written as V by L. So this is, so we know that volume is 3 meter cube, so it is 3, okay, and 3 by L. So இதுல இந்த substitute பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னா it will become, so we know resistance value is 3, and let's keep this as rho, and we know numerator is L, and A can be written as 3 by L. So this will be rho L square by 3, so then rho L square equals to 9. So this means L is equal to 3 by root rho. So it's option B. So a wire has been drawn. So diameter becomes half. Its diameter to half of its original value. And what will be the resistance? Yeah. Okay. So here volume is constant. The concept here is that the volume is constant. So this implies area initial times length initial equals to area final length final. Okay. If diameter halves, அப்ப என்ன ஆகும்? Area becomes 1 by 4 because D becomes D by 2. A becomes A by 4, the square of that, right? Okay. So the length becomes 4 times. So length of, and here length becomes, if this part has reduced by 4 times and the length has to increase by 4 times to compensate the change. Okay. So the new resistance R dash will be, so let's say this is the old resistance rho L by A. So new resistance will be rho L becomes what? 4 times L, and the area becomes A by 4. So to solve panna, you will get it as 16 times rho L by A. So it's 16 times that of R. So the answer is 16 times. Okay. Another question. The specific resistance of metals affected most by, yeah, of all metals is most affected by what? So for metals, the resistivity mainly it changes only with the temperature. Pressure is irrelevant. All this are irrelevant. It's only the temperature that determines the specific resistance. Next question. The resistance of wire of uniform diameter D and length L is R. The resistance of another wire of the same material but diameter is 2D and length 4L will be what? Okay, so we know that resistance is directly proportional to L by A. So A is nothing but diameter square. Okay, so here we can write it as R2 by R1 is nothing but 4 times L by L times D square by 2D square new values. So it's basically 4 by 4. So that's nothing but 1. So this will be equal to R2 is nothing but R2 is nothing but R1 or R. So it will be option B. Okay. There is a electric wire of length L and cross section A, resistance, okay. So this one, another wire of the same material, but having the same length. And the area only, it's like area becomes 4 times. What is its resistance will be in Ketriga. So same formula, R is equal to rho L by A. R dash becomes rho L by 4 times A. So this is nothing but R by 4. So it's very straightforward. Another question. Again, resistance based question. Okay, so they've given a R150 as 133 ohms, and they've given the resistance temperature coefficient alpha as 0.0045 degrees Celsius, and we need to find R500. Okay, so it's based on the formula RT is equal to RO into 1 plus alpha times T. Okay, so we know that based on ratio, we need to find the resistance of the wire at 500 degrees Celsius. Okay, they have given only the resistance at this one, like 150 degrees Celsius. So they will solve பண்ணலாம்னா R500 இது ஒரு ratio basisல solve பண்ணோம்னா like we don't need RO value. Usually, yeah, this value, right? We don't need it by this method. Let's say that R500 க்கு ஒரு formula இருக்கும். Then we will divide that with the R150. So for example, if we divide that with R150, R will get cancelled. There will be 1 plus alpha times. So the T value here is 500, right? And denominator, let's 1 plus alpha times. This will be 150. So we know alpha value, right? So alpha is this, and we know R50 value. So இதில் only unknown is R500. அப்போ இதை சால்வ் பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னா இந்த ரிலேஷன்ஷிப்பில் will get R500. So that is nothing but 258 ohms. Okay. So key here is knowing this main formula. அதுக்கப்புறம் thinking how to solve, like to get this part. இந்த பார்ட்டுக்கு RO eliminate பண்ணி how to get this in a simplified version. Okay, so it will be option C. Another question, the negative temperature coefficient based question. So which of the following has a negative temperature coefficient? So it's only the semiconductors. This is usually negative. See, we know that for metals, one another way to solve this is also like mostly for metals, it is positive. For metals, the temperature coefficient of resistance is positive. So metals usually eliminate பண்ணிட்டு we can do that, but yeah, but key wise we'll go with option C, but it's concept wise, remember that it's only the semiconductors that has a negative temperature coefficient of resistance, but in general metals will always have the positive temperature coefficient. Okay. Current I as shown in the circuit will be, okay, they've given the circuit diagram. So we need to find the current I. So here, what is the I value and solid? Okay. So if you take this 6 ohm branch, it acts like a short circuit. Okay. So we need to neglect that 6 ohm branch itself. Then what will be the R net will be, net resistance will be, it will be 6 by 2 plus 3. So this will be like a short circuit. We remove this. So it will be sorry. Yeah, so one of the 6 ohms will get cancelled, right? Yeah, so another 6 and 6 ohms will be in parallel. So it is 6 by 2 plus this is in series. So it is 6 by 2 plus 3. So it is 6 ohms is the net resistance. And I will be V by R. V is 10 and the R is 6. It will be 5 by 3 amperes. Yeah. Okay. Next question. This circuit-based question. So the potential difference between points A and B is what கேட்டிருக்காங்க. So the identical, so the concept here is that the identical resistors, okay, share voltage equally in series. Okay, so இதுக்கு எப்படி we can redraw this diagram as like, so this is point B, this is point A, so this is 5 5, and then there is C, so this is 5, okay, and then there is a battery, so 2 volts, okay, and then again A is connected with 5 ohms, and then another 5 ohms, then there is point D, and then it goes to 5, there's 5, and then 5, it goes to this C. So this is how we can redraw this diagram, okay. So for in the diagram based பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா simplify பண்ணதால each resistor drop 2/3 of volts. So between A and B there are 2, right? So between A and B 2 times 2/3 of volt will be 4 by 3 volt. அடுத்த question. The two resistors of resistance R1 and R2 having R1 is greater than this, they are in parallel. What is the equivalent resistance R? With the correct statement. So the parallel equivalent resistance is usually parallel equivalent resistance. It is less than the smallest resistor. So R equivalent R is less than even R2. I mean, and this should be less than R1. Okay, so it's this one. This is the right relationship. It cannot be greater than R2, and of course it cannot be greater than R1 because இது வந்து கொஷின் பேஸ்ட்லேயே தப்பா இருக்கு. இங்க கொஷின்லேயே சொல்லிட்டாங்க R1 is greater than R2, so this is not possible at all, and this is also not possible. Even if it's in series, R can be equal to R1 plus R2, it cannot be greater than R1 plus R2. Okay, அடுத்த question. So 24th, the wire of resistance R is cut into 10 equal parts and they are connected in parallel. Each piece R will be like R by 10. So parallel of 10 equal resistors R equivalent equal to R by 10, which is equal to R by 10 by 10. So there are 10 of them, let's say R by 10, and each R is R by 10. So then simplify பண்ணா it will be R by 100, it will be 0.01 R. Another question. There are three resistors in a triangular shape. Okay. So let's say there are two, so it will be like this, for example, this and then, okay. So let's say this is P and this is like Q. This is 2, this is 2, this is 2. Okay. So we need to find the resistance between any two vertices. Let's say this is what we are interested in, P and Q. Okay. So the direct path in பார்த்தா இதுல ரெண்டா பார்க்கலாம். One is direct path. The direct path, that is 2 ohm, and the other path it goes from here. So that will be 2 plus 2 ohms. So this two, இது ரெண்டும் பார்த்தோன்னா எப்படி இருக்கு, parallel இருக்கு, right? So if you redraw this will be like 4 ohms and then 2 ohms. So this is how it is actually. So இது இன்னும் further simplify பண்ணலாம். So one is 4 ohms, another one is in 2 ohms. Okay. அப்ப R equivalent will be 2 times 4 by 2 plus 4. So that will be 8 by 6. That will be 4 by 3. So it's option A. Okay. So the key to this question is also like, இது எப்படி simplify பண்றோம், எப்படி understand பண்றோம் இந்த triangle, and this is one of the favorite questions, at least like triangle இருந்து எப்படி solve பண்றது அப்படின்னு. Okay. So 26th, there are two 20 ohm resistors in parallel, and the V is 2 voltage across for 100 seconds. We need to find the heat. So parallel equivalent resistor will be 20 by 20 plus 20. So this is 10 ohms. Okay. So first can find the P value. P is equal to power is equal to V square by R. So we know they are given volt. So it is 2 square by, so power க்கு நிறைய relation, P is equal to VI அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய relationship இருக்கு. So always remember all of them. என்ன given data கொடுத்திருக்காங்களோ அதுக்கு ஏத்த மாதிரி formula போட்டுக்கலாம். So here they are given V and R based. So அதனால இந்த formula யூஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். V is equal to 2 square by 10. This will be 0.4 volts. Okay. So heat is nothing but power into T. So it is 0.4 times, and T is 100 seconds, so it is 40 joules. Okay. Another question. If I be, so there is a fuse wire current limit I, it depends on length L and radius. Then select the it has a wires of length L and radius A. Then select the appropriate relationship to get it on. So it's usually this the heating per unit length decides the conditions. Actually, it's the heating per unit length decides the fuse condition. Okay. So for uniform wire, limiting current, it depends on area. It depends on area and not on the length, depends only on the area. Okay, so I is independent of L. So in the equation வராது. So ஏரியான்ற போது it's R square. So it's like a direct relationship பார்க்கணும். So here it says L to the power of 0 actually. So it is actually this one. So this one is not possible. So it's the most appropriate for this one will be option C. Yeah. It's like one more way to get this in equation form is like, so the total per heat per unit length is like, so we have this P formula, right? So P can be written as I square R, where this R is rho L by A. So P is equal to rho L by A I square. So heat released per unit length அப்படின்னு பார்க்கும்போது எல்லாரும் டிவைட் பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னா இதை this relationship will become, sorry, rho by A then I square. Okay, so this means I is equal to square root of PL A by rho. So இது வந்து it does not depend on the length, depends on the I is proportional to area ன்னு சொன்னேன், but yeah, exactly how it is proportional to square root of area. So square root of area na, it can be proportional to R. It cannot be R0, cannot be R square. So the most appropriate is L to the power 0. It's answer C. Okay. Next question. So there is a power in 9 ohm is like 144 volts. The potential difference across 3.6 ohm resistor will be what அப்படின்னு கேட்டிருக்காங்க. Okay, so first current in this, let's call this one as in this 9 ohm is, how to find this? So we know the power as 144. So power is nothing but I square R. So this I1 times, and R here is nothing but I1 square is equal to 144 by this R is 9. So it will be I1 will be 4, it will be 4 amperes. Okay, so we know that in parallel the current is going to be same. So and yeah, so if the current here is like 4 amps, it's going to be the same. So here it is 4 amps. அப்ப இங்க எப்படி இருக்கும் அப்படின்னா, so it will be I1, I2, sorry. So so this one is I1, this is I2. Okay, so we will get the I. So I is equal to I1 plus I2, right? So this is I, it splits into I1 and I2. So I1 we found it as 4 amps. Similarly, I2 கண்டுபிடிக்கணும்னா it is yeah, I2 will be 6 amps. So I will be 4 amps plus 6 amps. It is 10 amps. So V is equal to I times R. So I is 10. It's 3.6 ohms. So it is 36 volts. Okay. $29. So given is that I is equal to 2 amps for 6 minutes. The work done is, the work is 1000 joules. Find the EMF and get it on. So it's like we need to find the V. Okay. So P is power can be written as work by time, and P is equal to V by I. So V can be written as work by I into T. Okay. So we know 1000 P by I. So இங்க P இடத்துல W by T போட்டிருக்கோம். அவ்வளவுதான். So this is the relationship. So இங்க கொடுத்திருக்க valuesலாம் போட்டா it will be 2 amps, 2 amps times and what is the T? T is given as 6 minutes. So 6 minutes will be 360 seconds. So this will be 1.38 volts. Another question. So there are 4 circuits, so on. So which has the greatest power? So the greatest power dissipated. So power is nothing but V square by R equivalent. So if it has, this has to greatest power na எப்போ இருக்கும்? REQ வந்து smallest இருக்கும். Only then this will be maximum. So ஈக்குவலண்ட் ரெசிஸ்டன்ஸ் வந்து எந்த இதில் வந்து கம்மியாக இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு பார்க்கணும். ஸோ பார்க்கும்போது இட்ஸ் திஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒன் விச் ஹாஸ் தி மினிமம் REQ because this is in parallel. ஸோ இது சீரீஸில் இருக்குது. ஸோ திஸ் cannot be minimum. இங்கே ஃபஸ்ட்டு ரெண்டு ரெசிஸ்டன்ஸ் பேரலில் இருக்குது, பட் இட் அகெயின் கனெக்டட் டு அ சீரீஸ். ஸோ this 3 is actually even greater than 1. 2 is actually greater than 1, of course. And இங்கே பார்த்தா இங்கேயும் like there is already 2 series and then only it's connected to 1. So 4 is also greater than 1. So இருக்கிறதுலே lowest இருக்குது, it's option 1. Okay. So 31st, there is a battery EMF which has 4 volts with the internal resistance R with the external 2 ohms and current 1 ampere. How much current will flow in the terminals of the battery are connected directly. So I is equal to the formula E by R R plus R. So here given us I is 1 and E is 4 and it is 2 plus internal resistance R. So this will give R is equal to, okay, if it is short circuited, short circuited will be E by R. So here E is nothing but 4 and we already found R is equal to 2 ohms, so it will be 2 amperes. So key here is when their batteries are connected directly, this condition. Okay. 32. So there is a circuit with E is equal to 10 volt and then internal R is equal to 1 ohm. Find the VA minus VB in Kutugan. Okay. So we know that from external equivalent across cell R external is 4 plus 2 ohms parallel 2 plus 4. So this 4 plus 2 is parallel to 2 plus 4. Okay. Then it's added to this 1 ohm. Okay. So இதெல்லாம் solve பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னா 1 by 1 will get the external as 4 ohms. Okay. So total width internal will be, total R will be, so because the small r is 1 ohm, so it will be 4 plus 1, it's 5 ohm. So the cell current I will be E by R, so it is 10 by 5, it will be 2 amps. So the current அப்பனா இது 2, இங்க வர current வந்துட்டு it's 2 amps. So it's split into 2 branches because both of them have 6 amps. இது ரெண்டுமே வந்து ரெண்டு பிரான்ச்சுமே வந்து it's 6 ohms and 6 ohms. அப்போ இது வந்து ஈக்குவலாகவே ஸ்ப்ளிட் ஆகும். So it will be 1 amp in each. Okay. அப்போ VA minus VBக்கு எப்படி இருக்கும்? VA minus VB is, so this will be 1 amps and this will be 1 amps. So VA minus VB is equal to I by 2 times R2 minus R1. Okay. So either further in the right hand side solve பண்ணோம்னா it will be I is 2, then by 2, then it will be R2 minus R1, it is 2 minus 4, so it will be minus 2 volts. Okay, it will be minus 2 volts. Another question, circuit based question. You need to find the potential difference across PQ will be nearest to what of this value. So first total resistance பார்த்துட்டோம் அப்படின்னா R is equal to 100 plus 100 plus 100, then 80 plus 20. 80 plus 20, so it is 300 ohms. And current I will be 48 volts by 300, so it will be 0.16 amps. So then voltage across this 20 ohms. So we need to find across this 20 ohms will be I into R. So it's 0.16 amperes into resistance is 20. It will be 3.2 volts. Another question. So EMF based question. So find the terminal. The potential difference across the cell will be what? So we know that for the cell, I is equal to E by R plus R. So here, given the capital R is equals to internal resistance R, so it is just R plus R. It will, so I equals E by 2R. Okay, upper terminal voltage V is equals to I times R external. So I can be written as E by 2R, and R external is also R, so it will be E by 2. So it's option A. Okay. So it's terminal potential difference of a cell when it is short circuited. So what does short circuit means? It's external R is 0. External resistance becomes 0. So the terminals directly connected means the terminal voltage will be 0. That's option C. 36th. So the galvanometer reads as 0. அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? It's a balanced condition. And we need to find this X. So from solution balance பண்ற base பண்ணி how does it will become as it is 12 volts, right? So 12 volts by 500 plus X times X is equals to 2. Okay, because the E has 2 volts. So it will be equals to 2. This means 12x equals to 1000 plus 2x. So further simplify 10x equals 1000. So x is equal to 100 ohms. Okay. Next question. Yeah. So there are two sources like this 10 volt and then 4 volt, etc. So we need to find the current and direction through the branch E. So because in the from yellow option may with respect to E. So அதுக்கு பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா since this 10 volt is greater than 4 volt, the net driver is clockwise. Okay, so using Kirchhoff voltage law is -1 times I plus 10 minus 4 minus 2I minus 3I is 0. So the further simplify one of them, I will get PI is equal to 1 amps. Okay, so it's either C or D, but direction wise it is A to B via E. So it is 1A it's from A to B. So it will be option D. 38. So there are n identical cells of EMF E and internal resistance R. They are in series, and there is external R. So total EMF will be, so EMF will be n times E. This is total. Then total resistance will be R plus NR. So current will be N times E by R plus NR. So it's option A. There are two identical cells giving the same current through 2 ohms. Whether it is it in series or in parallel. So find the internal resistance of the cell should be. Okay. So if it is a series current, ES will be 2E by 2 plus 2R. Then if it's a parallel, it's E by 2 plus R by 2. If further simplify, it will be 2E by 4 plus R now. Because in parallel, equivalent EMF will be just E, and internal resistance becomes R by 2. Okay, so they are given that IS is nothing but IP. So it will be 2E in both sides. It will be 2 plus 2R plus 4 plus R. So it can be written as 2 plus 2R equals to 4 plus R. So R is nothing but 2 ohms. Next question. There is two non-ideal identical batteries are connected in parallel. So there are statements 1 and 2. So for identical cells in parallel, so the equivalent EMF is smaller than either of the two EMFs. Actually, it's the equivalent EMF, it stays same Okay, as one cell. It's not smaller. So this statement is false. And equivalent internal resistance is smaller than either of the two internal resistance. So yes, so actually equivalent internal resistance will become R by 2. Okay, because it is two, they're connected in parallel, so it will become R by 2. So this statement is actually right. So option will be answer C, 2 is correct, but 1 is wrong. Okay, another circuit based question. Find R such that the total resistance between P and Q equals R. Okay, so we need to find R in such a way that total resistance between PU and Q also will become R. So first we need to reduce this circuit diagram. Okay, so இது என்ன simplify பண்ணா எப்படி எழுதலாம்னா like there is 3 ohms, so this will be 10. Okay, so இது எப்படி எழுதலாம், it can be written as R plus 3 and this is 3 ohms. So R plus 3 ohms, then 10 ohms, P and Q. Okay, so based on this, we'll get R as 3 plus 10 times 3 plus R by 10 plus 3 plus R. Okay, so the further simplify பண்ணா it will be R is equal to 3 plus 30 plus 10R by 13 plus R. Okay. So in further it can be simplified as R is equals to 69 plus 13R by 13 plus R. So this can be written as 13R plus R square equals to 69 plus 13R. So the further simplify will get R as root of 69 ohms. Okay. Another question 42. So find the equivalent resistance between the points A and B. So the trick is like இதை எப்படி simplify பண்றோன்றதெல்லாம் இருக்கு. Okay, so for this, it's a yeah, the concept is that like it's a balanced Wheatstone bridge or like balanced Wheatstone bridge circuit. Okay, so further it can be drawn as A is equal to, I mean, A and BS point A and BS. So this part will become 12 ohms and this part will become 6. Okay, so it's this 4, 2, and then okay, this is the central Wheatstone bridge resistor. Okay, so simplified இந்த மாதிரி ஆயிரும் இந்த மாதிரி diagrams எல்லாம். So then it's easy to solve. So upper RAB is what? Simple parallel resistance formula. So it is 12 into 6 by 12 plus 6 will be 4 ohms. Okay, next question. So we need to find the potential difference between points A and B. So this is also a balanced Wheatstone bridge concept. It's a balanced Wheatstone bridge. Up this potential difference between this A and B will be 0. Okay. Other question 44. So you need to find the current in 2 ohm resistor and get it on. So we should treat this as Wheatstone type network. So the upper branch resistance for upper branch will be 10 plus 2, it is 12 ohms. And the lower branch, this one will be 25 plus 5, so it is 30 ohm. So the current division in parallel, so the current ratio is inverse of resistance. So current is inverse in terms in இது ரெண்டுமே parallel இருக்கிறதுனால current ratio எப்படி இருக்கும்னா IU by upper by lower will be R of L by R of U. So that will be 30 by 12 ன்னு இருக்கும். Okay. So IU by IL ratio we have. So we need to find the current flowing in the 2 ohm resistance. Given the total current is like this 1.4 ohms, sorry 1.4 amps. So for the upper branch current, இதுக்கு எப்படி எழுதலாம் அப்படின்னா IU can be written as R plus R I total. Okay. So it is 30 by 12 plus 30 times into 1.4. So this solve பண்ணா you'll get it as simply as 30 by 42 times 1.4 will be 1 amps. Okay. Next question 45. Okay, இப்படி பார்க்கறதுக்கு ரொம்ப காம்ப்ளெக்ஸாக இருக்க மாதிரி இருக்கும், but you can simplify this. So we need to find the potential difference between in the figure the value of resistance X. We need to find the will be when PD between the PD is 0. So the potential difference B and D is this. I mean this point is 0. அப்பனா X ஓட வேல்யூ என்ன இருக்கும் ரெசிஸ்டன்ஸ்ல கேட்டிருக்காங்க. So this is also like a Wheatstone bridge in a balanced condition. அப்பதான் the potential difference across B and D becomes 0. So in balanced condition, so this is a general formula, right? P by Q will be equals to R by S. Okay. So P by Q it will be 21, 15 plus 6, it's 21. Then Q is 3 plus 8x, 3 plus 8x, and 8 plus x. Okay. This is nothing but equals to, okay, then R by S. So R by S, it will be 15 plus 6 by 6 by 2. So it will be 18 this side, and this side similarly it will be 4. This will be equivalent to 2. This will be 2 ohms. This will be 3 ohms. So 15 plus 3 is 18. 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay. அவ்வளோதான். இது பார்க்க தான் பெருசாக இருக்கும். Like once you simplify it by applying simple parallel series concept, it will be much simpler one. So அப்போ simplify ஆனால் இந்த மாதிரி ஆயிரும். ஸோ இதை சால்வ் பண்ணலாமா ஈஸியாக? So it will become, this will become 3, right? Okay, so then we can write this as 3 plus 8x by 8 plus x is equal to 7. So if we simplify this further, it will be 8x by 8 plus x is equal to 4. If you simplify further, like if you solve for x, you will get it as almost like 8x equals 8 plus x, 32 plus 4x. So it will be 4x equals to 32, and x will be 8 ohms. So this is the right answer. So in the test series, Navlada, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'm Karthik. Bye.